Hey everyone, welcome to Mountain Beast Mysteries. In the world of Bigfoot, there's one piece of Bigfoot evidence that stands above all others, and that's the Patterson Gimlin film of 1967. This footage of this Bigfoot-like creature is just that. It is footage of a Bigfoot creature, a real Bigfoot-like creature, in my opinion. This footage has stood the test of time. It's never been proven to be a hoax. It's never been proven to be fake, despite what some people will say. And some people have come out saying they were the person in the suit, but they haven't actually been able to verify that. You won't ever find a suit that looks like Patty. It doesn't exist. You know, it doesn't exist. No one's ever come forward with that Patty suit. If it did exist, it was destroyed. But if it is a suit too, that's quite the suit. It is quite the suit. Compared to any other costume they had available at the time, you know, that what you see in the footage is substantially superior to anything that ever existed at the time. The top ape costumes at the time were in like the Planet of the Apes movie, which I think came out a year later, if I'm not mistaken. I think it came out in '68. And the Hollywood costumes in that film are nowhere near as good as what that creature looks like in the film. If you're hoaxing something, let's take a more modern look at things. If you were going to go hoax Bigfoot today, you would shoot something from far away, whatever the subject is, the Bigfoot creature. If it was a costume you would have it relatively far away, probably obscured by bushes and foliage. You'd be using kind of a low quality camera, and the footage would be really quick. You know, you'd see it. There wouldn't really be any build up to it or anything after. And that would be it. All you would have to show people is footage, video. That Patterson footage. You have the creature being shot on film, on 16mm film, which is like movie film. If I was going to hoax something back in the day, I would have used something like 8mm film. Lower quality. It would be harder for experts to, disprove it. They used 16mm, better resolution. There's shots in that footage where you can see the bottom of Patty's feet. You can see the feet, what they look like, the color, the detail, which also match up to tracks that were discovered in that riverbed as well. You have tracks actually found in the riverbed that were filmed afterwards. They were documented on camera. But also, after Roger Patterson and after Bob Gimlin filmed that creature, they had tracked it for a while. I think they tracked it for over a mile, maybe up to like 3 miles. I'm not really sure. They tracked it a bit and it had disappeared. And afterwards, they went back to their camp, got plaster to make track casts, and they cast the best examples of the left and right feet. So not only do you have this 16mm footage, which is pretty good quality for back in the day, and it's not 8mm, you also have a documented trackway with not only footage of the trackway with like distances in between the tracks, you have the actual plaster casts to take home and analyze in detail. To have all that evidence for the experts to analyze after is something that is crazy. It's not just the video, And if you had the costume, like you wouldn't have it right out in the open like that. You'd have it in the bushes, it'd be hard to make out the details. This creature, Patty, is right there. She's right there. Everything, like the creature's right there. You can see all the muscles. You can see everything. Having somebody in a costume look directly at the camera like that, if you were hoaxing something, would be too risky. It would be too risky because you'd see the mask. You'd see the details. You'd be able to tell that it was not real. This creature looks directly at the camera, and you can just tell that it is something real and not a mask. That is a real creature that isn't supposed to exist. So you just have to think, like, if that footage is real, which I believe it is, then Bigfoot is real. Case closed. Case closed. If that footage is showing an actual Bigfoot creature, then Bigfoot is real and there's no argument. The question is, what is it? What is that thing? And where are the rest of them? Where are the rest of them? Why haven't we seen anything like that since then? Roger and Bob were riding their horses up Bluff Creek, and they came around a bend, and Patty was just crouched there behind, I think, some logs, like old logs that had washed up the creek during a flood. So they startled her. She wasn't expecting them. They, like, somehow caught her off guard. It's probably because they were on horses. There's a lot of areas in the wilderness where there's wild horses. They're an animal that is, you know, they exist in the wild. Especially out here in Alberta where I am right now, there's lots of wild horses around. So it's something that, you know, wouldn't cause Patty to have her guard up, probably. She initially maybe thought there was just horses there without realizing there were people on them. And then eventually when they jumped off the horses and started filming and rolling that camera, she caught on and starts walking away a little bit faster and then disappears eventually off into the forest. It's crazy though when you think, in the world of Bigfoot, to prove it, there's so many things you have to do, and even then you probably won't prove that it exists. That's why proving it exists is kind of a fool's errand. You're never gonna... How are you going to do that? If you have the footage, like the Patterson footage, if you have the track casts, if you have everything documented like that, and even that's not good enough to prove it, then the only thing is going to be a body. And then how are you going to get that? How are you going to find the body of one? You know? So, and nowadays with technology, with cameras and computers and editing and AI, a lot of stuff can be faked, and it can be done really well. That's why I like the Patterson footage, because it's shot on that 16mm film, you know? There's no CG. It's just a roll of film. What you see on camera is what was right there in the creek. That's the beautiful thing about the Patterson footage, is that it's old enough that you know it wasn't doctored on a computer. And it's from an era where the costumes of the time were nowhere near as good in Hollywood as what you see in the film. So how is Roger Patterson just a guy who's like an aspiring documentary filmmaker? How does he have the resources, other than having a rich brother-in-law, which he apparently had? How is he going to have the resources to pull off a suit like that and the expertise to do it? If the Hollywood experts can't make suits that good, how is he going to do it? You know? So just interesting. It's like, it's real. It's real. Patty is a real Sasquatch. So that's what we're looking for. When you look at the Patterson footage, that's what we're looking for. That's a female Sasquatch. Okay? That's it right there. Doesn't even appear to be scary, really. It's fascinating. I mean, you're not looking at a creature in the film that's aggressive at all. I'm sure it's a different feeling you'd have in person running into that. You'd be very startled and kind of like... I'm sure you'd be a little bit freaked out, but... When most people see the Patterson footage, they're not really freaked out by it. But that is it right there, Sasquatch. So those are just my thoughts on the footage. I think it's real, and therefore Bigfoot has to be real. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Mountain Beast Mysteries.